Excuse me while I whip this out.
What is best in life? To crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentation of their women.
All right. What is it? Sunday night. Sunday night already. It's Radio Baloney live Sunday night. I am your host, Richie Baloney. Hope everybody's had a good weekend. I've had a pretty decent weekend. Hope you guys have as well. We got Rosie. We got Spambot in the chat already. Looks like Rosie got the first like of the stream. You know what that means? That means double good karma. Good for you. Spambot got the second like of the stream. You know what I'm going to do? I do this sometimes. I don't do it every time. I'm going to say Rosie gets triple good karma for having the first like. Spambot gets double good karma. It's a special. It's a Sunday night special on Radio Baloney. All righty. So lots of good karma being thrown out around tonight. It's all very exciting. All right, what are we doing? So I guess we know what we're doing, don't we? I guess we know what we're talking about. We're talking about the tariffs, the Trump tariffs on Canada. We got lots of stuff to talk about here. We're going to go through a fair amount. I'm not sure it'll actually be that long of a stream tonight because we don't actually have a ton of topics, and we're going to talk about Canada's national debt and what this is all going to mean for that. Because doubtless, what's going to happen is that this will be seen as the Liberals, Trudeau right now, and then his hand-picked new leader of the Liberal Party, which he's basically being anointed as the leader. And it looks like he will be Mark Carney, the plutocrat, technocrat, globalist, eco-fanatic, progressive, radical, central banker, man of the people, Mark Carney. But he, as a central banker, he loves to print money. So there's going to be lots of that going on. There's going to be lots of debt. There's going to be lots of socialism going on because as they declare they're going to be saving everybody from the problem that they caused. And yes, they did cause this. This could have been prevented. We'll get into that. But in any case, yes. So we're going to do that. We're going to take a look at a bunch of Canadian stuff. This is going to be a very Canada-centric one tonight. We're going to talk about Mark Carney. We're going to talk a little bit about Doge, which, considering the financial state Canada's in and where it looks like it's going, Canada could use a franchise, a Doge franchise, I think. There's an enormous amount of wasted money from the Trudeau Liberals, from the Liberal Party. It's the only thing they can really do is tax and then give that money to other countries for weird things, like gender-neutral demining, for instance. Really, honestly. And weird gender things in countries that nobody really wants them. All right. We've got Poilievre here. We've got kind of our mismatch of stuff. You've got people here in the States protesting Trump's immigration laws. They don't have American flags. They have like Mexican flags. And then they're burning an American flag and they're protesting the deportation stuff. I mean, if I were running ICE, this would give me some ideas. Let's see. Yeah, we've got a bunch. Not even a ton here. We've got some stuff from the AFD in Germany. So a little bit of stuff from around the world. A little bit of American stuff. We've got the degeneration of advertising from things people like to things people don't like for some reason. Joey Diaz here on Selena Gomez. I haven't even watched this, but we're going to watch it together. He's actually pretty funny. We have, of course, all of our instructional videos for when we take a break, when we go to the chat. We have instructional sanding videos, boat videos, all kinds of things. Of course, we've got something for the ladies as well. Chuck Norris. That's right. That's for you, ladies. All right, let's see what's going on in the chat. Let's see. Rosie says we can always add chocolate as a topic if we run out. Well, chocolate is very good. Or the fact I read today about where Canada gets toilet paper. I don't know. I thought we got it the same place everywhere else. Let's see. All right. Well, that's it, I guess. Let's just get out. Let's just get going. So looks like we got How Retarded Chicks in the chat. French Canadian Ice. French Canadian Ice. We do need that. We do. We also need a border czar in Canada. That would have helped smooth things over a bit. Let's see. Spambot says that Rumble feed is stuttering yet again. Extreme is not. I don't know what's going on. Anybody else having troubles with it? Anybody else? I don't know. I'm just doing my best here, man. I don't control it. Rant juice. Jamis Eves is not too late today. That's excellent. Iggy, how you doing? Did I get a like 3? You know what? I'm giving you 1.5 good karma. If you got third, it's 1.5 good karma. Rosie actually got triple because I'm feeling very generous. Rosie got triple good karma. Let's see. Spambot got double good karma for being the second one. It's a special day. I'm giving out extra karma today. Izzy, you can have 1.5. 1.5. That's an extra karma. You're not going to turn your nose up at that. Not in these troubled times. Let's see. Spambot says, I think Rumble hates LTE internet users. I don't know what's going on there, man. There's only so much I can do. See, as he says, it's fine there. Yeah, my feed that I'm looking at right now seems to be going fine. So I don't know. It's too much for me to worry about. All right. All right, then. Well, I guess we'll just get to it, I guess. Unless you guys want to chat some more. But you got to be more chatty in the chat. Otherwise, it's too slow. All right, let's get into this. Let's just get into this. So, from Catturd here, gee, I wonder who's going to win the trade war. Yeah, the guy gets shot in the ear and then stands up and raises his fist, pumps his fist and says, fight, 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 or the guy who plays dress up. 9 years of Justin Trudeau. It's not working out well. It just keeps getting worse. This one you think, so he announces he's going to step down and okay, they're going to have, really what we wanted was an election, right? If we just had an election, right? If we'd had an election, if Jagmeet Singh hadn't held up the government, hadn't supported, if we'd had a conservative government right now, I am certain this wouldn't be happening. Because they would have started dealing with the border immediately, first thing. But we've got Mr. Dress Up still, and he announces he's going to resign. And sure, we have to go through the ridiculous, chaotic nonsense of not having a government while it's prorogued because of Trudeau, so we can give the Liberals time to pick their new leader, right? But it just keeps. While he's in office, things can only get worse. It's like the universe saying, just get rid of this guy already. How Retarded Chick says, the heat is on. That was a popular song by the guy from the Eagles, Glenn Fry, in the 1980s. Excellent choice of words there, How Retarded Chicks. Let's see. Alexandra Roels is talking about Trudeau has to be in Guantanamo Bay jail with Claudia Sheinbaum from Mexico with an ocean view of Cuba. They love communist people. You know, Trudeau is absolutely a socialist. He's absolutely a socialist. I think if it really paid for him, if he felt like it would make him more popular, he would just be a communist. I think he just will be whatever. All right. Call him Trudy, please. We call him Trugina. Sorry. All right. Anyway, it's like the universe has just been telling us, get rid of this guy. Get rid of him. All right. So before we get into any of it, I just want to show you this. Okay. This was just from a few days ago.
The president is focused on ending fentanyl coming into the country. You know that the labs in Canada are run by Mexican cartels. So this tariff model is simply to shut their borders with respect America. If we are your biggest trading partner, show us the respect, shut your border, and end fentanyl coming into this country. So it is not a tariff per se. It is an action of domestic policy. Shut your border and stop allowing fentanyl into our country, killing our people. So this is a separate.
Okay. So, and it does not matter whether or not it's 1% of the fentanyl that goes into the United States or not, right? It doesn't matter. I don't believe Trudeau anyway, because we have no idea. Our border is totally insecure. We have no idea. All right. With some of the labs that have been broken up recently in Canada, that have been discovered in Canada, I think you might have reason to believe it's more than 1%, but we don't know anyway. And it's coming from Trudeau. And do you believe anything that Trudeau says? But that just simply doesn't matter. Right? It's just being responsible, being a good neighbor to control your border. This is obviously something that's been bubbling up for a while. He's telling us right there, you have to do this. Right? You have to take action on this. Why hasn't the CBC been playing this on a loop? Why hasn't Global News been playing this on a loop? How many Canadians have even seen this? Well, I'll tell you why. I'm going to tell you right now, not many, and I'll tell you why. Because the Trudeau Liberals, the NDP, they want a trade war. They see this as an opportunity. They see it as an opportunity. They want it. The media knows that. The media likes them because they're the paymasters. They're the guys who pay the CBC for $1.4 million a year. $1.4 billion a year. And they also give subsidies to the other major news outlets in Canada. In fact, most of them, unless they're conservative. So that's why this hasn't been on a loop. I mean, it's pretty simple right here. Why wasn't this acted on? They have to have known this has been a problem for a while. Let's continue.
Tariff to create action from Mexico and action from Canada. And as far as I know, they are acting swiftly. And if they execute it, there will be no tariff. And if they don't, then there will be. But it's an action-oriented model. That's not the ordinary tariff. The ordinary tariffs need to be studied and examined. And that will start, as the EO said, in April.
So that's a separate tariff.
Correct.
After that study, what would be the timeline of that?
I think that's sort of in April. Those studies will come out in the end of March and April, and then you'll hear about those at that time. So big macro issues with tariff are being studied, but the micro issue is Canada and Mexico and the precursors from China. They need to end, and we need to protect our Americans from fentanyl. And our trading partners in Canada and Mexico, they should end it and stop disrespecting us and allowing this come through our borders.
So I think the way they're really looking at this is because we have this big undefended border. It's huge, right? And we have no idea what's getting across, right? How much of anything is getting across, people or drugs or guns, whatever, going back and forth, right? So I think they're looking at kind of an extended border along the coast, right? To prevent stuff from coming into Canada in the first place through shipping, but also we've just got people, there's 10 times as many people on terrorist watch lists going into the United States from Canada than there is Mexico, because they just fly here, come here, and then do that. Right? So I think that what they really want is for us to look after our own borders, which we are not doing, our own territorial integrity, which we're not doing, right? As well as actually dealing with the U.S.-American border, right? This can't really have been a surprise. But I think what's obvious is that they wanted the Liberals and the NDP as well wanted it. They wanted the fight. They wanted it because their political fortunes are low, right? So Trudeau, we have a non-functioning government. Parliament is suspended right now because of Trudeau. so that the Liberals could have their little leadership race. Then you've got Trudeau's handpicked guy, Mark Carney, who's basically being appointed, right? A lot of similarities with Kamala Harris, with Mark Carney, right? So Mark Carney is not even an MP. Nobody's ever voted for him, right? Just like Kamala. Right? The media, he's a media darling in Canada, just like he's going to make everything better, just like Kamala was as well. Of course, then you've got the far leftism, the radicalism, right? He's going to do all the same things as Trudeau, only more. You've got the environmentalism. I'm going to start calling him Kamala Carney at this point, so that he's going to come in, of course, with a very unpopular party. And this is, in their minds, in their twisted, demented minds, they see this as a way to curry favor with the public. Because obviously, if this actually continues for any amount of time, it's going to be devastating for the economy. Businesses are going to close down. Businesses that were exporting to the United States are going to close down. Unemployment. Then what happens? They swoop in with a bunch of money, a bunch of printed money, a bunch of borrowed money, and giveaways, socialism. You can use it as an opportunity to take control of industries, right? Bailouts, then take control. I think this is all. I think the response, the irrational response from the Canadian government is political scheming. It's political opportunism. I think it's a terrible strategy because they're going to wear it. They're going to wear the consequences of this. The printing money is also going to cause inflation because they're going to have to do that, by the way, right? Right. The Canada, it's not going to help. They're not going to be able to fix anything. They're not going to be able to fix the problems they solved. It's going to be worse. They're going to wear it. But nobody accused these people of being bright or competent or interested in the well-being of Canadians. So it's all right here, right? It's not like this is just an act of God. Nothing could be done. Yes, something could be done. In fact, somebody was doing something about it. Where do we have it? Here on American TV. Now, if they were really serious, they would have taken immediate steps to secure the border, which they could have done, like Danielle Smith, the Premier of Alberta, did. She just went ahead and did it with provincial resources. She didn't even use any federal resources, provincial resources. She went ahead and did it. And guess what? She's on Fox News. You know what might have been really smart? If we really wanted to avoid the tariffs, which were a warning, they're a warning to Canada. If we really wanted to avoid them, every premier, every minister would have been on American TV showing actual tangible things that Canada is doing on the border. Would they still have happened at that point? Maybe, but at least that would have been responsible. That would have been better than getting Canada into a fight that Canada can't possibly win. That's only going to hurt Canada. We're much more dependent. We're 10 times more dependent on the American market than they are on ours, right? This is like you've got a girlfriend, you go to the bar with your girlfriend, and she starts a fight with the biggest, meanest guy there, and then demands that you defend her honor. That's Trudeau. That's what Trudeau is. All right, so let's take a look at this. Hold on.
Hi, good morning there, Maria. You know, Canada is America's biggest trading partner. Goods and services flowing across this northern border here, tallying more than $900 billion in a single year, according to the latest government data. So that intention from President Trump to impose a 25% tariff on Mexico and Canada, garnering a lot of attention here in Canada and a lot of immediate action from the federal government as well as from the province of Alberta, where we are. The province's premier, which is similar to a state's governor, called for yesterday the appointment of a national border czar, which would serve as the counterpart to our Tom Homan. Premier Danielle Smith talked with us earlier this week about Alberta's efforts to meet Trump's concerns about securing the border by investing roughly $20 million of provincial funds to secure Alberta's portion of the border that it shares with Montana. Listen here.
We've already taken action in Alberta to make sure that we're shoring up as much as we can to have the dogs at the border and the commercial vehicle inspection and teams of sheriffs and drones. Though that's what I think the president wants to see, is that we're taking it seriously, that we're going to stop the flow of drugs and guns and people across the borders.
So Alberta's new funding is allowing the province to deploy 50 of its own sheriff's deputies across Alberta's portion of the border, a 200-mile stretch here. It's also allowing drug-sniffing dogs, thermal imaging technology, and drones. And we talked with Alberta's Minister of Public Safety yesterday, and he tells us they are stopping the flow of drugs and fentanyl across the border.
I would say President Trump, I can tell you right now, having worked with these wonderful men and women that are in the Alberta Sheriffs and the RCMP and Canada Border Services, I can tell you this border is secure.
Now, if the Canadian government was serious about, oh, hold on 1 second. All right, where was I? So if the Canadian government was serious about avoiding tariffs, they would have been doing, oh, hold on a second. All right. If the Canadian government was serious about really dealing with and avoiding the tariffs, they would have been doing this for every province, and every minister would have been on every relevant minister would have been on American TV, would have been on Fox News, all over American TV, saying we've got it in hand, right? That would have been a win for Trump. He would have been happy with that, right? And then we could have started planning. The government could have started planning. Well, the government can't do anything. Parliament's prorogued. The government is chaos. We don't even really have a real leader in the country anymore. But it would have given time to eventually deal with what Trump considers unfair trade practices with Canada, right? There you go. That would have been a smarter plan. But Trudeau wants the tariffs because he thinks that it'll be useful for Mark Carney. And maybe it'll burnish his image, he thinks, as well, as the tough guy, right? The tough guy. Trudeau, the tough guy, the tough talker. I mean, look at him. Look at him right there. The tough guy. It's just an absolute joke. Yes, something could have been done about this. It would have been really helpful for this to have been on the news a lot in Canada, so Canadians could have seen it.
The president is focused on ending fentanyl coming into the country. You know that the labs in Canada are run by Mexican cartels. So this tariff model is simply to shut their borders with respect America. If we are your biggest trading partner, show us the respect, shut your border, and end fentanyl coming into this country. So it is not a tariff per se. It is an action of domestic policy. Shut your border and stop allowing fentanyl into our country, killing our people. So this is a separate tariff to create action from Mexico and action from Canada. And as far as I know, they are acting swiftly. And if they execute it, there will be no tariff. And if they don't, then there will be. But it's an action-oriented model. That's not the ordinary tariff. The ordinary tariffs need to be studied and examined. And that will start, as the EO said, in April.
Even if the government had actually listened to that and taken it seriously, which they probably did take it seriously, but just they wanted the tariffs because they think there's political gain in it. But even if we had taken real concrete steps, action, not just words, like Danielle Smith did in Alberta, and it didn't work, Canada's still better off because at least then we're on the way and we're building a framework to actually like keep fentanyl out of Canada, for instance, or keep drugs from or whatever from crossing the border, the U.S. into Canada. Right? We're still better off. It's still good because these are all sensible things that should be done in the first place. You shouldn't need another country to tell you to do it. Maybe not letting terrorists in, for instance. I mean, obviously, when you're overwhelming the immigration system, which Trudeau has done over the last 3 years, and it was high before then, but really high. I mean, over 1 million people a year. When you're overwhelming the immigration system, right, and you're not able to even do background checks, which we were told that was all happening on the student visas and foreign workers. We're told it's all criminal background checks. Turns out none of that was happening, or very little of it. Guess what? You're going to get bad people coming to your country. And we know that. We know there's criminal gangs that have been using the student visas and temporary worker visas to bring in criminals into Canada for criminal networks. Apparently, there's 4,000 criminal gangs in Canada now. A lot of them been let in by Trudeau. So, yeah, we do need to get our border in order. We do. And I'm telling you what, it's absolutely disgraceful that this video I've just shown you, explaining what actually is happening from the Trump administration, the fact that this hasn't been shown on a loop in Canada is disgraceful. It's disgraceful, and it shows you the complicity between the media and the Liberal government, who ultimately are their paymasters. So, all pretty disgraceful to me. All right. Let's get to a little bit of chat, and then we're going to just keep on with this. Let's see. What are you guys saying? What's going on in the chat here? Hot Retarded Chick says, do only communist drugs like vodka? He says, do only communist drugs like vodka and cheap weed. The only acceptable drug is neocitrin. Let's see. Dramus says, a friend says, why stop fentanyl? Let natural selection do its work. They take that shit voluntarily. Well, because such a small amount can kill somebody. Like it gets like junkies leave like the little packaging, like a little baggie, whatever, like at playgrounds and shit. And like a kid touches it, they're dead. Right? It gets in. There's a bunch of people that have died from they put it into like weed, even, right? Like it's far too dangerous. It's far too dangerous. A lot of innocent people end up dying from it just by accident. MHJ, how you doing? Good to see ya. Let's see. Rosie says, some are voluntary, some have it laced into something else, not expecting the poison. Exactly my point. Let's see. Spambot says, I stopped visiting ski resorts when a day lift ticket plus travel plus gas costs more than a case of good scotch. Not joking. Yeah. Skiing is insane at this point, actually. But sorry, what am I saying? Everything is insane at this point. Rosie asks, Radio Baloney, are you putting a tariff on our donations, subs and rents? That's 50,000% tariff on all of it. So pay up. All right. 1,000,000%. All right. Let's see. Candle Monkey says, hi, everyone. What about Canada ski resorts? Let's see. Robot says, I think Mr. Snacks needs some attention. Well, he heard something outside and he got irate, got angry. He's a very paranoid dog, actually. He's a lovely dog. A lovely, lovely dog. But he, when you take him out, he hates everybody. Especially old ladies, like nice little old ladies for some reason. I think actually he just feels the bravest with them. But you take him out, he hates everybody. I hate taking him in the car with me because he barks in my ear at just everything. He's actually kind of an a-hole, to be honest. He's like kind of like a little jerk. He's a little dog. But just at home, he's lovely. He's a lovely little creature. But to everybody else, he's just an a-hole. Let's see. Yeah, so when he hears people outside, he gets really mad about it. Let's see. Ken Monkey says, so Alberta border is safe. There's more border. Yes, but see, if the government had been serious about avoiding tariffs, that would have been the project for the entire border. It's obviously you're not going to be able to 100% secure it, within a week or 2 weeks or whatever, right? But you can start. I mean, that's what Howard Lutnick in the video we were just showing, the Trump transition team co-chair, was saying, like, action. We want actual action, not just words. Well, it's the Trudeau government, so you're going to get words. But there's absolutely no reason that they could have just pulled out a bunch of drones and, actually got a bunch of people working the border and said, like, these are the things we're actually doing right now. We've got these things ordered. That could have been done. That would have been a win for Trump, right? That would have been a win for Trump. He probably would have been happy with that. There's still going to be issues with what he is saying are unfair trade practices. But, there's no reason why there can't just be negotiations. I mean, the next, U.S., Canada, Mexico deal is there's supposed to be discussions in 2026. Really, we should be talking about bringing those discussions up immediately in a formal way, right? That would make a lot of sense. And certainly buy a little bit of time. But first and foremost, it's been very clear. It's been stated very clearly: secure the border, not just words, deeds. Danielle Smith listened to it, and guess what? No 25% tariff on oil, 10%. Now, is that considerations for Americans, or did Danielle Smith have actually influence that? I'm telling you right now, it couldn't have hurt. Let's see. Spambot says season passes 1,800 Canadian. Holy crap. And adult day pass between 90 and 180, depending on the park. Wow. That's ridiculous. So it really is like a rich man's sport now, isn't it? Let's see. Canada Monkey says, try 280 at Whistler. Crazy. Like, I was like a normal family, just supposed to take, like, 2 parents, 2 kids, supposed to go for like a nice skiing trip at Whistler. Let's see. Big Mob Bob says, how about tell Americans to stop bringing the fentanyl into America? Well, illegal drugs are a massive problem in North America, Canada, and the U.S. We're going to need to have the whole harm reduction thing, which was really started in the early 2000s, has been a massive failure. You've seen a literally an order of magnitude increase in deaths. You've seen an increase in crime, all the attendant issues. Obviously, this is tragic for families, right? We need different policies. So obviously, the liberalization of the policies, which, by the way, I was always against the war on drugs, right? I was always against that. It turns out, though, that it was there for a reason. It turns out without it, at least what we've been doing over the last couple of decades has been a catastrophe, a human catastrophe. So we need to change the drug policies, right? It's just as simple as that. In Canada, we need to get a lot more serious about it. Let's see. As Spambot says, if you buy the passes at Costco, you can get day passes for about half price My costs above the prepaid pass is available at my local Costco. So there you go. There's if you want to go skiing. Bambot's got some advice for you. Let's see. G Flood, how you doing? Good to see you. Let's see. Says there's a good cross-country place near me. They run on donations very well. Well, cross-country, yeah, you don't need the lifts and all of that stuff. Let's see. G Flood says the oil crosses the border and gets refined before it crosses back into Canada, 10% both ways. That's something that Pierre Poilievre has been talking about, that we should be able to refine the oil ourselves. But of course, it's impossible to get anything done in Canada. That's all going to have to change as well. There have been so many projects, like energy projects, that have just gone nowhere. I mean, you had the one pipeline that the investors had to just walk away from, and then the Trudeau government ended up buying it, right? But that was only because they make it impossible. They put so many barriers in the way. They're so unfriendly to it. It's almost as if they don't want it to happen. So yeah, it's a good point, though. All right. So here's Trump talking about the tariffs here. Let's take a look. So this is from today.
Are you planning to increase the tariffs against Canada?
Well, it could happen. If they do anything, we will. Canada's been very abusive of the United States for many years. They don't allow our banks. Did you know that? Canada does not allow banks to go in. If you think about it, that's pretty amazing. If we have a U.S. bank, they don't allow them to go in. Canada's been very tough on oil, on energy. They don't allow our farm products in, essentially. They don't allow a lot of things in, and we allow everything to come in. It's been a one-way street. We subsidize Canada by the tune of about $200 billion a year. And for what? What do we get out of it? We don't get anything out of it. I love the people of Canada. I disagree with the leadership of Canada. And something's going to happen there. But if they want to play the game, I don't mind. We can play the game all they want. Mexico, we've had very good talks with them. And this is retaliatory. This is retaliatory to a certain extent. Millions of people flowed into our country through Mexico and Canada, and we're not going to allow that.
Yeah, the thing is, we really have no idea how many people or what is crossing the border either way. We just don't know, right? We don't know. It's been totally irresponsible on the part of the Canadian government. And of course, that's going to be a totally no priority from a liberal government, obviously, from Trudeau. I shouldn't just say, I mean, the thing is, we used to have liberal governments that, you know, maybe they weren't great, but they weren't crazy, right? Like, it was within the parameters of, you know, acceptable sanity, you know, acceptable governance. You know, it's Trudeau has really turned the Liberal Party of Canada just into the Trudeau Party. So I think that whatever the polls are saying, whatever bump is happening right now, I don't think that's going to help, because there's going to be a lot of people that were not a lot of people. Let's just say a
small fringe minority,
you know, some part of the base of the Liberal Party that's not going to get excited about Mark Carney. It looks like it's going to be him. You know, you got to have enthusiasm. You got to get people actually out to vote. We don't have like massive, you know, mail-in voting in Canada. You actually got to go and vote. You got to go see that lineup and say, yeah, I'm going to stand there. I'm going to stand there. The game's on, whatever. I'm going to stand there for however long it takes. It might be an hour, 2 hours, maybe longer. I'm going to do that. I think there's going to be an enthusiasm gap in the next election. But in terms of, you know, he's talking about the banks, don't let the banks in. I mean, I don't see why we need American banks. You know, how did that? Canada didn't suffer the same way with the subprime mortgage thing in the 2008 with that crisis, because our government, our conservative government at the time, was not pressuring banks to offer loans to people who couldn't afford them. and then allowing banks to package them up into weird things that they could then sell, right? I mean, I'm kind of fine with just Canada having its own banks. I'm kind of fine with that. Let's see.
Are you planning?
But again, he's talking about border, right? This is something that could have been dealt with. Danielle Smith is the only leader in Canada securing her province's border. So if you don't want tariffs, you can blame all the other provinces for not making the effort to stop the drugs going across the states. Now, Doug Ford, the progressive conservatives, he's just really liberal light. Doug Ford, he saw this as a political opportunity too. He's calling an election now. Obviously, how much more obvious can it be that this is cynical politicking from him, right? He's not going to secure the border because he wanted the fight. He's having an early election. Shouldn't be until next year. Madness and stupidity. Wyatt Claypool, if Canada's governments were serious in response to tariffs, they'd lower taxes, regulations, and start mass approving new mines and pipelines. Instead, our response is more socialism. Subsidies, checks, and more public sector jobs. Yeah, this is seen as an opportunity to get a tighter grip on the Canadian public financially to make them dependent on the government. So they'll keep voting liberal. So they'll keep voting socialist. So they'll keep voting radical leftist. Even if they don't like all of the other, especially all of the social stuff, they'll just feel like they have to. Yeah, maybe having the ability to get like LNG to, let's see, the Prime Minister of Japan came to Canada asking for liquefied natural gas. The Chancellor of Germany came. Other countries sent representatives saying, hey, we could really use your liquefied natural gas. I know in Germany, their coal production has been massively increased because they did stupid things like getting rid of nuclear, and then you have the Ukraine thing. But they were saying, can we please use that? Pierre Poilievre has made the very sensible point that, yeah, if we can get this natural gas out and countries can replace the coal with the natural gas, which is much less polluting, all right, that is going to do actually something at least. It's going to do a hell of a lot more than a carbon tax that does nothing. Instead, our response is more socialism. Well, that's it. So they're already talking about another massive, stimulus thing like in COVID, right? Checks, basically, just checks, print money, send out checks. It almost feels like everything they do is just simply to get more control. It seems like it's just all about power and never anything else. All right. What else have we got here? So here's Toby Lutke. He's the founder of Shopify. What does he have to say? I'm disappointed that the Trump administration placed the 25% tariffs. We all are. And let me say this. I think it's actually counterproductive, right? It would have been better to just wait for Pierre Poilievre to get in, and they could have had they're natural allies. They could have had a fantastic relationship, which would have been good for both countries, right? This puts Poilievre on the back foot. This puts him into defensive mode now. I think it's ultimately counterproductive. I know that Trump has larger issues. He has larger goals, right? Canada and the U.S. are being used as examples at this point, right? Even though I believe that, and it's the Trump administration itself says, yeah, this didn't have to happen. But I do think that it's counterproductive, but it's here. So anyway, let's continue. I'm disappointed that the Trump administration placed the 25% tariffs. I'm disappointed that this is our government's response. I love Canada and want it to thrive. I built Canada's biggest tech company here because I know it's a special place. Canada thrives when it works with America together. A win by helping America win. Trump believes that Canada has not held its side of the bargain, and he set up terms to prove that we still work together. Get the borders under control and crack down on fentanyl dens. These are things that every Canadian wants its government to do too. These are not crazy demands, even if they came from an unpopular source, unpopular in Canada because of the constant propaganda from the media here. By the way, I think if you watch Canadian media, you just think that Trump's crazy. You don't know. You didn't hear that statement from Howard Lutnick, right? You don't hear any of the real reasons, right? The logical reasons why. You just think Orange Man bad. That's it. And I'm not happy about it. And I think it's counterproductive, but there was a way out of this, and it was laid out, obviously, plainly before us. These tariffs are going to be devastating to so many people's lives and small businesses. Action has to be judged based on what it leads to. Action has to be judged on what it leads to, not how good it sounds or feels. Leadership is about doing what's right, not what is popular. And hitting back will not lead to anything good. America will shrug it off. Canada will decline. It's simply the wrong choice in a possibility space where much better options would have been available if you had a government acting in good faith. And that wasn't just purely politics. I mean, the Trudeau government, since they got in 2015, has just been about politics. It's just been one long campaign. That's it. So, action has to be judged based on what it leads to, not how good it sounds or feels, or if you think it's good politics. This is just, all of this is just politics. He thinks it's good politics. That's it. There's nothing else behind this. This man does not care, right? How much more clear, if it weren't already abundantly clear that Trudeau does not give a shit about anybody but Trudeau, it should be clear now. Action has to be judged based on what it leads to. The Team Canada approach, the patriotic approach, from who? From who? From the guy who told us that Canada is the first post-national country. Basically not even a country, right? We have no core identity either, according to Trudeau. Let's see, there are millions of Canadians that are, in his words,
small fringe minority.
Except it's millions. There's millions of Canadians that he says are, they have unacceptable views. So unacceptable, he had to declare the Emergencies Act. Used to be called the War Measures Act, basically martial law. He had to basically declare martial law to deal with them. Right? He's called dissenters in Canada. Endlessly, he's called them ists and phobes and blah, 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 and everything bad, including Maple MAGA. Maybe that whole spending the last 4 years using Trump as a wedge issue against Canadian conservatives, maybe that was a bad idea. Maybe you should have foreseen that perhaps, just maybe, Donald Trump might win again. The stupidity and madness. Let's see. So what's going on here now? From Dan Knight. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get something straight. The Bank of Canada just made a desperate move to keep the illusion of stability alive in a country that is already spiraling into economic disaster. Tiff Macklem, the so-called head of our central bank, just announced the sixth consecutive rate cut, slashing the overnight rate to 3%. On the surface, that might sound good. On the surface, that might sound like good news for some. Cheaper mortgages, maybe a little relief on your debt. But let's be real. This isn't economic strength. This is a blinking red warning light that our economy is in free fall. And what's going to happen when all that money printing happens? Well, that's inflation. Like, things could get a lot worse than people realize very quick. And here's what they're not telling you. The Bank of Canada isn't just cutting rates. They're restarting asset purchases in March, which, in plain English, means they're turning the money printers back on. This is what central banks do when they're out of real solutions. When they can't grow the economy naturally, they inflate their way out of the problem. The same reckless policy that triggered the inflation crisis in 2021 is coming back, and they're hoping you're too distracted to notice. So why are they doing this? Because Canada's economy is collapsing. The real reason behind the rate cut, an economy in crisis. So anyway, we're not going to go through this whole thing, but the warning signs are all there. How about this from Sheila Gunn Reid? Trudeau says he will not recall Parliament, even though our economy is about to be in full meltdown. I have to keep repeating this. We don't even have a functioning government right now while all this is going on. Trudeau chose to shut down government knowing what was coming. The man resigned and he's bringing it all down on the way out the door. Well, let's take a look. I know it's difficult to listen to this guy. I know it's like nails on a chalkboard. I know it's awful. I know it's like having railroad nail ties nailed into your brain. It's like a drill drilling into your brain listening to this guy. But all right, let's take a quick look, as much as we can stomach.
Jillian Piper with Global News. Prime Minister, will you recall Parliament to pass a bill to help Canadian workers and end prorogation?
As you can see from our strong response package, as we spoke about with premiers this afternoon and have for many weeks, we have the tools to be able to support Canadians through this challenging time as it stands. This is a moment for Canadians to pull together, including Canadians of all different political parties. This is a moment where we need to set aside our differences and focus on delivering for Canadians, standing up for Canadians.
Put aside our differences. What about the
small fringe minority?
What about the people with unacceptable views? Them too? Because you said their views were unacceptable. Right? You said they were all racist and sexist and homophobes and transphobes and everything else and Islamophobes. So them too? We're all supposed to pull together now after you called everybody names, after you declared essentially martial law? That you froze people's bank accounts for like donating $10 to the truckers? All pulled together? I don't feel like he's actually very patriotic, Justin Trudeau. The guy who says that Canada is the first post-national country. The globalist elitist Justin Trudeau. I don't think he even likes Canada. If he does, he has a funny way of showing it. So there he is, and he's resigning. And his proxy, Mark Carney has been advising Trudeau since 2020 and probably since before, right? It's just more of the same, just in a more boring way. Let's see. All right. So here, let's get to Pierre Poilievre's statement on this, all right. So there's essentially 3 parts to this. The first part is something he has to do. Don't forget, he's a politician. There is going to be an election coming up, right? It is the Team Canada thing. It's basically echoing what the Liberals are saying. And he just has no choice, but he has to put that in. Then we get into another part, which is things we can do to protect ourselves from problems like this in the future. And then the third is, and then the last part is just simply what we should have done in the first place, right? Aside from how we could have avoided the immediate threat of tariffs in the first place. So let's get into this. Pierre Poilievre, we must put Canada first. That is why common sense conservatives condemn President Trump's massive, unjust, and unjustifiable tariffs on Canada's already weak economy. Okay, I don't like them either, but we are where we are. Canada is the United States' closest neighbor, greatest ally, and best friend. We share the longest undefended border and fought alongside Americans in 2 world wars, Korea and Afghanistan, where 158 of our brave men and women died helping the U.S. avenge the 9/11 attacks. There is no justification whatsoever for this treatment. Okay, let's get to the solutions. Liberals must put aside their partisan interests and recall Parliament now to pass a Canada First plan that will, and here we go. So echoing the Liberals, all right? And he has to say this. retaliate with dollar-for-dollar tariffs carefully aimed at maximizing impact on American companies while minimizing impact on Canadian consumers. That means targeting U.S. products that we can make ourselves, buy elsewhere, or do without. For example, we must retaliate against American steel and aluminum, as Canadians can make those vital products at home. So it's at least kind of nuanced, although the fact remains that Canada will be crushed. We are much, much more dependent on the U.S. than they are on us, right? So an actual, tariff war, trade war, there's no way to win it for Canada, right? There's no way to hurt the U.S. more than the U.S. can hurt us. Let's see. Put all the tariff revenues into help for affected workers and businesses. Government should not keep a dime of the new revenue. Well, of course they will. The first thing they'll do is spend $100 million. They'll give $100 million to McKinsey for consultation and lobbying. I'm not even joking about that, by the way. Pass a massive emergency bring it home tax cut to bolster the economy, stop inflation, and save and create jobs. Okay, these are things we should just be doing anyway. Canada needs a massive tax cut on work, investment, energy, home building, and making stuff at home. The liberal carbon tax and capital gains tax hikes must be first on the chopping block. I think they're saying now that the capital gains tax is going to go briefly until if they win the next election, which they won't. But actually, who knows? I mean, times are getting so crazy. Maybe Canada will just commit suicide entirely and elect in Mark Carney. But in any case, this is all stuff should have been happening all along. Would have put us in a better position right now. Immediately scrap the liberal anti-resource law, C-69, and greenlight LNG plans, pipelines, mines, factories, and port expansions to overseas markets. Again, port expansions to overseas markets, right? We are entirely dependent on exporting our oil to the United States now, right? We can't get our LNG anywhere in the world, even though they've asked us. Trudeau was not interested in building port facilities and factories to get our LNG to Japan, who asked for it, Germany, who asked for it, not interested. He said there was no economic case for it, and then went on some nonsense about a hydrogen boondoggle. So that's all just stuff that should be happening. I mean, obviously that gives us some more leverage. Bring in truly free trade with Canada, or bring in truly free trade within Canada by knocking down interprovincial barriers to help replace lost north-south trade with east-west trade and to make us self-reliant. It's all just obvious stuff, common sense. And here, the last one, 6, is really the most important one, and it should have been first. Rebuild our military and take back control of our borders and regain the confidence of our partners. Assert our sovereignty, protect our people, and put Canada first. That should have been number one. I understand what he's doing, but that should have been number one. That's the most important thing right there. That's not going to happen with the current government because they're not interested in that. They want this. They want the fight. They think it's going to help them politically. I think that's crazy, but what do they got? I guess, what do they got to lose? We will protect our economy, defend our sovereignty, bring home production and paychecks, and never back down. We will put Canada first now and always. So you've got kind of the gratuitous stuff at the beginning here, which, I mean, it all sounds nice, but it means nothing. We can't win. The trade war will just hurt us. That's it. It's like I was saying earlier. The situation we're in is you've got a girlfriend, and you go out to the bar, and she immediately starts a fight with the biggest, meanest guy that can kick your ass in the place, and then demands that you defend her honor. That's what's happening here. It's a no-win situation. But all of these common sense, like domestic economic programs and energy programs, that needs to start That needs to start, whether or not we had this, whether or not we had this tariff problem, that needed to start the second that a conservative government got into power in Canada, and it would have, and it will. So that's all good stuff. That would have mitigated some of the problems, some of our weaknesses now, if that had happened. If Trudeau had never gotten elected, if we just had a conservative government in that time, all of this stuff would have happened. But again, number 6, like actually just do what was asked. Right? Take control of the border. That's good. That doesn't hurt Canada. That helps Canada. Just do it. Just do it. Everybody's going to be better off. We're better off. They're better off. Everybody's better off. Rebuild our military and take control of our borders. Yes, just do that. That's number 1 on the list. We need to do that. If you want to stop the tariffs, that's what's going to happen. So it's disappointing to see this from Pierre, but I understand why he's doing it, right? He's still a politician. He's still got to get elected. He's got to think about Eastern Canada. He's got to think about Ontario. All right. Let's see what you guys are saying. Let's take a quick break. All right. Let's just get on a instructional sanding video for a second. All right. We're an hour and 2 minutes in. What are you guys saying? Let me get some nicotine into my system first. All right, lots of skiing stuff you guys were talking about. G-Flet says, environmental won't let you refine. NIMBY, not in my backyard. Well, it's just going to have to, that's just going to have to be dealt with, right? It just, if Canadians want to keep or get back the old standard of living, that's just simply going to have to change. Let's see. G-Flood says American media is the same. Spambot says, I know the economy is collapsing. My contracting gigs are drying up. And the Canadian dollar took a huge hit today as well, which is obviously going to cost more to import anything anyway. When the Canadian dollar goes down, the whole thing is a disaster. This is Trudeau's final disaster that he's visiting upon the people of Canada on his way out the door. He'll go and live in Davos or something, right? Got to understand these people, like Mark Carney, right? When he loses the next election, he'll just go back to Brookfield. He'll go back to Ireland or the UK where he's got passports. He'll go live in Davos or something, right? He'll be back as the chair of the giant global asset manager, which is investing in pipelines in places like Brazil and UAE, while he's lobbying to destroy the Canadian energy industry. Like these people, they are insulated from the consequences of their policies. And you have to understand, they see you as an ant. Like Canada is just an anthill to these people. You are a faceless cog in a machine. Let's see. Oh, let's see. Spambot had to mute the stream when Trudeau was talking. I know it's hard to listen to him. It's like nails into your brain. Let's see. Rosie says, horrible voice. We must pray for him. God is bigger. He is awful. I don't care where he lives. Just leave Canada and never come back. We don't ever want to have to see you again. Let's see. Poesy Poet says, Carney is the guy behind the curtain on the yellow brick factory. He's also the lion without a heart. Carney is just a total fake. Let's see. Carney is hello, fellow peasant scum. That's Carney. G-Flood says they already had tariff on our steel and aluminum. Let's see. G-Flood says no capital gains. Okay, rethinking Canada. No, it's just that there was an increase. Trudeau was looking to, because there's not been enough capital flight from enough business, enough industry, enough people leaving with their money from Canada. He wanted to up the capital gains tax because socialism and Mother Trudeau. Matt Kircher says, I'm going to miss fresh fruit and real juice. Well, it'll be more expensive. Orange juice will be more expensive. Let's see. Poet says we should all invest in the MAID, medical assistance and dying industry, and all commit the liberal way of thinking. Oh dear, that's dark. That's too dark. Let's see. Nevada, how you doing? G-Flet says Biden banned LNG exports to Europe when he blew up Nord Stream. No, they actually expanded it. They actually expanded LNG to Europe. Let's see. Nevada says Biden sucks. He was terrible, or his handlers were terrible. Nevada says all Trump wants is secure borders. Now, it is a two-part thing, right? These tariff threats are two-parted. Like, first one is border security, secure the border. Like, show us that you're actually going to do something, not just talk about it, right? Because the Trudeau government can't do anything. First thing they'll do is give $100 million to McKinsey for consultations and lobbying, right? And PR. G-Flood says it won't be good for us. It will seriously suck for Canada. Yeah. I mean, the U.S. broadly will shrug it off, but there will be regions like in the northern United States that it will have an effect. Let's see. JDL says ninth like, hit the like button. That's a great point, JDL. What a great point. All right. Let's see. G-Flood saying I'll have to switch from Crown Royal to Pendleton. Oh, dear. Switch to Neo Citron. That's my favorite. Sabot says, yeah, we'll still have capital gains, but not, it won't rise up as much as they wanted it to. Let's see. Rosie's saying, I don't think the video of Sandy is live. It looks like summer outside. It's actually not a live video every time I play it on the stream. Let's see. And Matt Kircher says, survey is going to be a real thing. Spambot says, I'm waiting for the Canadian dollar to drop to 60 cents USD. Then I'll convert all the US dollars I bought when Canadian was on par with USD. Yeah, I'm in Forex right now myself. Just a little bit. More just for fun than anything. But I wish I had more in, actually, because I knew what was coming. And, man, there's a bunch of people made a lot of money. A lot of money today when the Forex markets opened. Nevada says those are big sanding muscles she has. That's what they are. Sanding muscles. Let's see. Rosie says, have gone to walk at our local park the last 3 days, usually full of people who seem to have ancestors south of the border. Not one there any of these days. How many illegals for how long? A lot. A lot. Apparently big lines at the border to get out, actually. Let's see. Nevada says, I don't see any day laborers hanging out at my Home Depot lately. Yep. Let's see. Kircher says, I'm honestly curious what the refineries in Texas will do. When you want to process heavy crude, it takes a lot to retrofit it to run lighter crude. That's true. But the tariff there is only 10% on oil, right? I mean, that's still burdensome, but it's not the 25%. Rosie says, TV in LA is showing how to avoid ice. Isn't that illegal? Let's see. All right, let's get back to this again. So we're going to stay on the tariff stuff. So it's from February 1st. So this is from yesterday. Mercedes Stevenson, senior government source, says the White House has warned the Prime Minister's office that if Canada implements retaliatory tariffs, the U.S. will hit Canada even harder, and they can, and that's built into what they're doing now. How much? I don't know. I mean, it's not an absolute, but it seems probably fairly likely. Karen says retaliatory tariffs. Seems to me there must be better solutions. Maybe if Parliament was functioning, all of our elected officials could have come up with some better solutions. To declare war on the President of the United States isn't such a great idea. unless you are the worst political schemer in history. So, in case you forgot why you hated Justin Trudeau, here's a clip of him dancing around the question of why he's refusing to recall Parliament. Arrogance personified. There you've got adoring Jolie there behind him, who thinks the whole thing is it's all wonderful what's happening.
Prime Minister, will you recall Parliament to pass a bill to help Canadian workers and end prorogation?
As you can see from our strong response package, as we spoke about with premiers this afternoon and have for many weeks.
Call Parliament to pass.
Again, strong response package. That's just money printer. That's just borrowing money. Let me show you something. Again, the Canadian dollar isn't doing well right now, but let me show you something else. Here's when Trudeau got into office, right? Here's the national debt now. So here's the national debt when he got in. Here's national debt now. It's almost doubled, right? And most of it since 2020. That really gave him the opportunity to really do what he wanted to do most, which is try to bribe the public to vote for him. And also, too, he's totally incompetent. Everybody's around him is incompetent. Chrystia Freeland, the finance minister, the former finance minister, some people call her the former finance Oompa Loompa, all totally incompetent anyway. All they know how to do is tax and spend and send money to other parts of the world for shit that we don't care about. But anyway, let's start that over.
Prime Minister, will you recall Parliament to pass a bill to help Canadian workers and end prorogation?
As you can see from our strong response package, as we spoke about with premiers this afternoon and have for many weeks, we have the tools to be able to support Canadians through this challenging time as it stands.
Prime Minister, will you recall Parliament to...
Yeah, don't worry. Justin's taking care of it. Nothing to worry about. Justin Trudeau's taking care of it. You know, this guy, the guy who did this to our national debt, don't worry. Don't worry. The guy who said the budget will balance itself, he really said that. The guy who asked us, who said, we'll have to excuse him. We'll have to forgive him for not thinking about monetary policy. That guy, he's going to get us through it. Don't worry. Justin's in control. Kind of feels like that's been the problem all along, and it's just bad, and it always turns out badly. All right. I get really cross about this stuff. Such an awful person. From Scott Moe, he is the Premier of Saskatchewan. The decision by President Trump to impose tariffs on all Canadian products is disappointing and will damage both our country's economies, workers, and consumers. We agree that we need to have strong, secure borders. The U.S. has been clear in this priority. Saskatchewan has been equally clear about efforts to stop the flow of fentanyl and illegal migrants. We have enhanced our provincial border security measures. Saskatchewan is calling on the federal government to take all necessary steps to strengthen border security and have fentanyl removed from our communities in Canada and the USA. I am calling on the federal government to strengthen the criminal code of Canada to toughen penalties for drug offenses, specifically fentanyl. As I have said, I support very targeted and very specific retaliatory measures to initial tariffs. However, this should never be the longer-term solution. Saskatchewan's exports are crucial to supporting food and energy security across North America and around the world. We will also be working to ensure diversification of Saskatchewan markets for our goods. We will continue to work with all Saskatchewan businesses and other governments to find common ground on this important issue to ensure that damaging tariffs are removed as quickly as possible. Make absolutely no mistake, these tariffs will cost American and Canadian families more. That will weaken the highly integrated North American economy, which benefits our nations that may not be, this will weaken the highly integrated North American economy, which benefits our nations that may not be our allies. Tariffs are harmful to all of us in North America. So, I mean, he's speaking sense too, along with Danielle Smith, although she's been the one who's really taken the bull by the horns with this. And I think, frankly, embarrassed the federal government. This should be this sort of stuff should be coming from the Prime Minister's office. Right, we're going to strengthen the border right now. We're doing it right now. We're going to be helping the provinces to do this. That should have been coming from the Prime Minister's office, unless they wanted it. Unless they wanted it to turn out this way. They thought it would benefit them. All right. And clearly that's what happened, right? So I guess that's that. That's all we're gonna do on the. Well, I think we might have a bit more tariff stuff, but let's see what's going on here. I guess we can keep the YouTube stream going for a little while. We got a few people on there. All right, let's actually check out the X stream. So I should just say that. And let's see what's going on with X. So we stream live now. Yeah, there's a few people checking it out on X. So we stream live on Rumble, YouTube, X, and I always forget to say locals as well. I just don't understand locals. It does it automatically through Rumble, and I just don't understand it, and I never really go there because I just don't get it. I don't know what it means or what I do on it, but really I need to start figuring that out. But anyway, so we stream live to all those places. Usually we cut off the YouTube stream after about an hour. Because there's all kinds of censorship issues and things that go on there, and it's kind of a pain in the ass. But we'll keep going a little bit longer tonight. All right. But you know what we should do right now? I'll tell you what we should do. We should read an ad. Folks, Trump is finally back in office, and it's only going to get better from here. As a celebration, Patriot Addict is sending our free Trump red knives to people who voted for Trump. This is just their way of saying thank you for supporting him and being part of this moment in history. Normally, this knife retails for $100, but right now, you can grab it for just for the cost of shipping. You can grab it just for the cost of shipping. What? How does that even make sense? Scan the QR code to the right to apply your 100% off coupon and claim your Trump knife today. There you go. All right. Let's see what's going on. What else is going on? What are you guys saying? Let's get to you guys for a second. Well, Nevada says True China sucks. True China. Let's see. Hold on a second. Nevada says, I want me some Greenland. Greenland's next. Let's see. Yeah, that maple syrup's probably going to get expensive down there, down south of the border. Let's see. All right, I'm just going to skip to the end of the chat here. G Flood says glitchy tonight. Yeah, I don't know what it is. It seems to be regional, the glitchiness. Let's see. G Flood says a trade war will make a good scapegoat for bad money printing, or in other words, buying votes, bribery. Candle Monkey says that ad read made me feel reborn. Well, you're welcome. You're welcome, Candle Monkey. You are reborn after that. See, Rosie gave me a 9.5 out of 10. Nawada says more commie hate needed. I forgot the commie hate. I've never actually read that ad before. That's a new one. That's why I forgot the commie hate. Let's see. See, Candle Monkey say no glitch. All right. Nevada saying we will have to eat Minnesota syrup now. Ooh, that's gross. That's the grossest syrup. I don't know. It's probably good. I don't know. I have no idea. Let's see. It's all the same thing, isn't it? Let's see. This was from yesterday. Let's check this out from Pierre Poilievre. All right. No, that's the thing we read earlier. Okay. So Larry Brock says Canada must come first. Parliament must be recalled. It's not going to happen because we have the worst government in history. Let's see. Canada is objectively broken. Quality of Living Index 2013, 5th worldwide. 2024, 33rd worldwide. Let's see. Trudeau got in 2015. I wonder if that has anything to do with it. Of course it does. What does this guy have to say?
Canada is objectively broken. In 2013, this once great country was ranked 5th in the world for quality of living. However, fast forward a single decade and we've plummeted to number 33 on the list. Unfortunately, it seems like the country's decline has only just begun. For instance, the OECD predicts that Canada will be the worst performing advanced economy in the world for the next 4 decades straight. The average citizen pays roughly 50% in taxes. Our healthcare system just ranked 10th out of 10. We're sitting on one of the largest housing bubbles in history, with prices projected to rise another 20% over the next 2 years, and food banks can hardly keep up with the increasing number of people who can't afford to feed themselves. I do not advocate for hopelessness. However, if we have any shot at fixing the problems this country is facing, it first requires us taking an accurate view of just how bad things are. Destruction is always quicker than growth, and if Canada's current government is able to continue operating like a wrecking ball for another year and a half, we'll be adding decades to our recovery. Canada is objectively
yeah. When was this from? February 1st, 2025. Yeah, it's Trudeau gets in 2015, everything starts going to crap quickly. And it's tragically fitting that this tariff thing is happening now as he's walking out the door. It's like his gift to Canada, the final humiliation, the final destruction, the final abuse from Justin Trudeau. He is going to go down as the most hated prime minister in history. Let's see. What have we got here? Let's see. Mark Carney. I bought his book, by the way, from, I think it's about 7 years old or something, called Values. Or maybe it's 5 years old, something like that. I just got it in the mail. I took a little look through it. It's boring, so he must have written it because it reads like he wrote it. But yeah, I'll update you on it as I get through it. It's going to be a tough read, I'm telling you right now. Let's see what else we got here. All right, let's move on. Let's see. So from government is corrupt. Andrew Scheer was running to be prime minister, and that was 2019, and the liberal media shat all over him for being a dual citizen. Mark Carney holds a British, Irish, and Canadian passport, hasn't lived here in a decade, and not a word from the MSM. Well, he's a liberal, which means in the modern day Liberal Party is illiberal, so that means he's a radical leftist, right? And he will give them money. He will give the media lots of money. He will pay the media. We all know what the subsidies are about. It's paying the media for good coverage, for positive coverage. Let's see. It says, I'm so sick of liberal hypocrisy. Well, it's never going to end, is the problem. Let's see. Okay, so Mark Carney is a big UN climate finance envoy, net zero guy who is basically wrecked. His net zero plans wrecked the UK. So you hear about how Mark Carney saved the British economy. Wouldn't the economy have to be saved for him to do that? It's at best stagnation. You got like pensioners who can't afford to heat their homes in the winter because of his brilliant net zero stuff. We've got, people like briefly Prime Minister Liz Truss warning us about Mark Carney and his terrible ideas. From Ryan Garrettson, the last bank in Canada just left Carney's climate alliance. RBC just jumped ship. What do you do when you lose all of your climate financing? Try to become the prime minister of a country so you can fund everyone you promised money to before, but this time with our money. Yeah, so this was part of why Canada is in so much trouble right now and why so many energy projects have been canceled is because of Mark Carney's lobbying against Canadian energy, the Canadian energy industry. While he was, by the way, as chair of Brookfield, investing like $1 billion in pipelines in Brazil and the United Arab Emirates and stuff like that. Not good for Canada, though, according to Mark Carney. Let's see. Oh, yeah. So this was great. Let's watch this. This is just, this is the genius. This is the man who was so impressive. The media is so impressed by him with his credentials, and he's the guy who can fix the economy. He's so smart. Well, let's see how smart he really is.
Then secondly, what we're going to do is make sure not that the government pays, not that we as taxpayers pay, but the large polluters pay. And so what happens...
But does that not ultimately trickle down?
No, because what the big companies are producing, by and large, are not products that we are consuming. There's some element of that, but by and large, a steel company, how much steel are you using these days, Todd? I mean, not as much we used. So anyway, so that's core to then.
Yeah, because you're not buying like steel beams for your at your house to keep around your house. Yeah, it's not going to affect you. Can anybody be this stupid? Right? Yeah, there's no way taxing Canadian industry is going to end up being paid for by the consumers in Canada, by Canadian people. There's just no way. He's just explained to us. I think we got to do a fact check on this.
Fact check.
All right, give me 1 second here. Okay. Let me pull this up. Let's see. What everyday products include steel in production? Steel is a fundamental material used in the production of numerous everyday products due to its strength, durability, and versatility. Here are some common items where steel is a key component. Automobiles, car bodies, frames, engine parts, exhaust systems. Yeah, no way the consumer is going to end up paying more for that. Appliances, refrigerators, washing machines, dishwashers, ovens, and microwaves also have steel components that are made with stainless steel for durability and appearance. No way consumers are going to end up paying for that. Construction materials. Yeah, there's no way people are going to end up paying for higher housing prices. Let's see. Kitchenware. Utensils like knives, forks, spoons, as well as pots, pans, and sinks often use stainless steel for its non-reactive and hygienic properties. No way consumers are going to pay more for that. Tools, furniture, cans and containers, food and beverage cans, because food isn't expensive enough in Canada now. Not according to Mark Carney. Railways, machinery, electronics. Yes, nobody buys electronics in Canada. Let's see. Safety products, locks, safes, security doors, medical equipment. Yeah, because medical care in Canada is not costing the country enough money right now. So there we go. Not according to Mark Carney. This list is far from exhaustive. but it gives a good idea how pervasive steel is in our daily lives. Each of these products might use different types of steel, like carbon steel or stainless steel, depending on the specific requirements, blah, 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 blah. Lots of steel. Actually, kind of important. Not according to Mark Carney, though. Where was he? Yeah, here we go. Let's see. Pierre Poilievre said, serious question. Does Carney really not know that people use steel? Or does he think voters don't know, so he can trick them into believing taxing steel won't cost them anything? This is a great example of why you shouldn't just blindly trust credentialism. When the media tells you all about how credentialed somebody is, don't assume that means they're smart or they actually know what they're talking about. Right? This is a guy who wants to be the next leader of Canada, right? He wants you to believe that you're not going to pay for putting onerous taxes on Canadian industry. Never mind the fact that Canada has a bit of a problem with industry leaving the country, with bringing investment in. There's far more investment going out than in to Canada because of the kinds of policies that he advocates for. We can't take, never mind 10 years, we can't take another year, month, day of the same stupidity that's brought us to the place that we're at now. Let's see. Mark Nixon says, Mark Carney, I have a climate plan. Canadians, is it less government? Carney, no, it's more taxes and fewer jobs. Yeah, so he says it's time for a new, more effective climate plan that everyone can get behind. What about people who realize that Canada has no power to change global climate one bit, and it's all a giant waste of time, and Canada could be removed from the map tomorrow morning? Canada could just be gone from the planet, okay? All industry, everything, and it would not make one bit of difference, okay? Carbon taxes certainly aren't going to do anything if just removing the entire country will have no effect on global climate. How about that? One that makes our economy more competitive and grows good jobs today and in the future. You know what makes your economy more competitive? Cheap, plentiful energy. And you can't get it from windmills. I'm sorry. You can't get it from solar panels. Insanity. Total insanity. Let's see. All right, that's enough. I can't take any more of it. It's too awful. Let's go to something more. Let's go to the chat for a second. Let's go back to sanding again, or maybe we'll do something different. Let's do because sometimes if you're out in the woods and you hit your knife with a stick, the handle comes off, and then you have to fix it with some string there. So let's watch that. This could save your life. Let's see. Rosie says your X stream is flowing well. Can you see the comments live at the top of the stream on X? It says live 39, live 39 on Rumble. Invite the Xers to Rumble if they want to chat. Yes, everybody on X, come to Rumble if you want to chat, because I guess there's no chat on Rumble. We don't see any, and it doesn't even show me on the Rumble studio here, which I'm streaming from, how many people are watching over there. Let me pull it up on my site here and just see. I don't see anything. All right. I'm not seeing where it says how many people are watching live, but all right. Anyway, it's fun. It's good to do another one. By the way, you guys, I should really pull it up, actually. Hold on one second. I'm going to do something. Give me 1 second, okay? Let's see. Give me 1 second, you guys. I'm just pulling something up. I want to see if I can get the... Hold on. Don't worry. It's going to be worth it. This is going to be worth it. Hold on. All right. Let's see. Here we go. Okay. So we now have the shop available on Rumble. So let's go there. And there is a new design. Check this out. Look at that. Commie gets nothing. It says Commie gets nothing. Look at that. Commie gets nothing. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that a beautiful shirt right there? Isn't that gorgeous? Commie gets nothing. That's going to make Antifa cross for sure. Let's see. What about, and then there's this one as well. There's this one as well. Can I bring that up? There we go. That's a beautiful one. That's Crazy Radio Baloney. Asylum Radio Baloney there on the t-shirt. It's beautiful. That's the Rumble store. There is a store also on YouTube. And that one actually has like cups and hoodies and t-shirts and that one over there, even aprons, actually, a bunch of stuff. And it's actually got just the Radio Baloney logo just by itself as well on the YouTube one. I have to have different stores for the two different things for just reasons. But anyway, it's, yeah, so there's merch. And anybody who's watching right now and who's not subscribed to the channel, who's not following the channel, yeah, do that. And like the stream, extremely important. Anybody will tell you that. Everybody says so. Let's see. Nevada says, are Eggos made in America? I don't know. I haven't had those for a long time. JDL says, Trudeau's hair has failed Canada. It's so sad. So sad. It was our pride and joy. Trudeau's hair and teeth were our pride and joy there for a little while. All right. G-Flood says, when Russia invaded Donbass, I bought the liquor store's last bottle of Russian Standard Gold. I'm just glad they don't make Neocitrin in Russia. And then I'd be in trouble. Let's say. G-Flood says, should get some maple syrup now. Yeah, you better get started. Let's see. Nevada says, what a loser. I think that's Mark Carney's talking about. You might be hypocritical, JDL says. I think you might be right. Nevada says, frying pan. Utensils. Yep. Yeah, it steals in lots of things. Carney is an idiot. He apparently is at least illiterate on that front. Manufacturing. Rosie says, some people have learned to make waffles from a mix or even from scratch. What? How could you even do that? No, that's not possible. They grow, right? Waffles grow? I think they grow. Let's see. What it says, I don't have a steel waffle iron. Where are we going with all of this? Where are we going with all of this? Let's see. Rosie asks, so just wondering, what would Mark Carney have a skills, education, or expertise? I have not heard anything important and true from him. Of course, I slept through some of it. LOL. He's very boring. So he has a master's in economics, not even a PhD, for God's sakes. Master's in economics from Oxford. He was the head of the Bank of Canada. He was the head of the Bank of England. And he's deeply involved with the UN, he was on the board of the World Economic Forum. He chairs a bunch of things. One of them is a big global asset manager. Deeply, deeply involved in green energy, but not only green energy, also pipelines and things like that as well. But it seems like he's financially tied in, even if it's not direct investments himself. It's just, I doubt very much as chair of Brookfield Asset Manager that he was doing that for free. So he's kind of very deeply tied in with the green energy and money for green energy. So that shouldn't be surprising. Nevada says, why not just seal the borders? Exactly. Just do that. Unless you want to fight because you're stupid enough to think and immoral enough to think that to care more about political advantage. Let's see. G Flood says sealing the borders just fixes the problem. Can't do that. Yeah, they don't want the problem fixed. That's the problem. Rosie says, what gems does Canada export to the U.S.? Gems are a top 10 export. I don't know, but lots of oil, lots of minerals, steel, lumber, that sort of. It's all natural resources. That's the vast majority of his natural resources. Let's see. Rosie says, Kami gets nothing. Nice. I know. That's a beautiful shirt. Beautiful shirt. Let's see. Nevada says, what? How did you get that to the shop? You know what? I was a bit worried, especially on the YouTube one, that are they going to like Kami Gets Nothing? Because they're kind of, it seems like the sort of thing they would not allow me to do. But no problem. Went right through. Yeah, they seem to have a problem criticizing commies for some reason. Candle Monkey says, Ryan Reynolds is a gem. Ugh. Candle Monkey, come on. Ugh. Gross. Gross, Candle Monkey. I think Candle Monkey is fucking with us there. He's trying to get a response. Let's see. Let's see. Rosie says, I see the shop on Rumble on the computer, not the phone. Oh, I don't know what's going on with that. Let's see. Let's see. On YouTube, the shop is through Sticker. Well, Sticker Mule is the Rumble shop, and then there's a different company that does the YouTube one. Let's see. Rosie says, Masters in Economics from Oxford is impressive. I guarantee at Oxford, it's just fully they're like the whole thing. I guarantee you is just socialist economics. I guarantee the rest, not so much. Those are about what you know, not what you know. Sounds very easily manipulated. You can get a master's in economics at Oxford and have terrible ideas. You can have degrees. You can have a PhD and have terrible ideas. There's people with PhDs in psychology for like gender garbage, right? It doesn't mean much anymore. JM says it feels like we're putting a tariff on Marxism. All right. You know what, you guys? Actually, hold on one second. I need to take a break for a second. Suddenly, I need to take a break, and I need to make some more coffee. I'll be back in a couple of minutes. What do you guys want for the screen? We've got for the ladies, Chuck Norris, because we've got to be fair. So we've got to have some beefcake for the ladies in the show. So we've got some Chuck Norris there. But I think we'll put on one of these. Fence, I think the fence is very popular. Fence lady is very popular. We'll leave it on there. Okay, I'll be right back. All right. Thank you for your patience, everybody. If you're not subscribed to the channel and you're watching right now, just subscribe to the channel. Just do it. Just do it right now. Also, liking the stream is so crucial. One day you'll understand. One day you'll understand, but you just like it right now. And trust me, one day you'll understand. All right. I feel kind of bad because, Mr. Snacks, he doesn't get my attention while I'm doing the live stream. And I feel kind of bad. Let me just check on him a second. Give me one more second. Yeah, he wants me to chase him around, but we won't be going that much longer, and I can chase him around. All right. Energy time. I forgot to get my coffee. I have to hold on. You guys are going to have to hold on one more second while I get my coffee. All right. I just want to reiterate. Trump has made it clear, right? And he just reiterated this, right? Fix the border. That's how you deal with the tariffs. That's what you have to do. That's what Canada has to do, is fix the border. Take concrete steps. Obviously, you're not going to solve it in one day. Right? But we've had longer than that, by the way. We're not going to solve it in a week or a month, right? But you can get started, real things. Real concrete steps. Do that. It's very clear. Do that, right? Instead of we're going to retaliate, blah, 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 Team Canada bullshit from people who hate Canada, who've proven they hate Canada, just we're going to fix this. That's the way out of these specific tariffs. There's going to be more issues coming up. Get this dealt with, and then we can deal with the ones coming in the future. Instead of having to deal with it all at once. That doesn't make any sense. They've said specifically what Canada has to do. Canada needs to do that. Why isn't anybody in the media talking about this? Saying, hey, look at this video here. They're saying specifically what we need to do. Why don't we just do that? Then we can save everybody all of this. Chieflet says, True China can't even pretend to fix the border. He doesn't want to. He doesn't give a shit. That's why it's not happening. Let's see. Nevada says Trump just cut off all aid to South Africa. South Africa is essentially, if it's not a failed state already, it's very close to getting there. It's, by the way, it's socialism. Socialism did that to it. Let's see. Gemma says the chat is still not enabled on X. Is there live chat on X, like at all? Like, is it something that you can enable? I'm not sure. Let me see something. Yeah, I don't know if it's even something that you can, that's an option on it. Is it? I'll have to look into it. All right. All right. All right, let's move on. Where were we? All right, so let's get to Doge here. So Elon Musk, the Doge team discovered, among other things, that payment approval officers at Treasury were instructed always to approve payments, even to known fraudulent or terrorist groups. They literally never denied a payment in their entire career, not even once. Not even once. From Robbie Starbuck, The highest-ranking Treasury official, David A. Lebrick, is resigning rather than complying with a request by DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, for access to audit where they've spent trillions of dollars a year. Why would career bureaucrats fear an audit by Elon Musk and Doge to see where we can save money? Because maybe there's been some illegal stuff. Maybe it's so deeply embarrassing. Maybe it's deeply political. Maybe there's a bunch of checks going out to NGOs to bring millions of people across the American border. I don't know. Maybe. Maybe. All right, let's move on. Let's see. All right, we've already seen that. So let's go to the last tab. We are at the last tab. Hold on a second. Let me check something else out here quickly. What's going on here? I want to talk about the things that people are afraid to say out loud. Who is in control of America's nukes? It's not Biden. Maybe it's commies. Meanwhile, we have Russian ships off the coast of Florida and full-blown wars in Ukraine and Israel. The world is at its most unstable point since World War II, and with nuclear weapons, the stakes are 10 times higher. How do people like you and I stay safe, especially with all these commies running around everywhere? Every prepper needs to have Radio Guard Ace, the only FDA-approved drug to treat radioactive fallout and communist propaganda. Only the feds had it until now. That's why Rumble partnered with 5G Free, the only company in the world that has a supply of Radio Guard Ace and the ability to prescribe it prophylactically. It's the best way. Get their radiation emergency kit with Radio Guard Ace, potassium iodide, Zofran, maybe even anti-communist materials, and a Geiger counter. There's simply no other tool in your arsenal to protect against a radioactive threat and radioactive communists. Go to 5gfree.com, code STUDIO, that's code STUDIO, to save 15%. Really? 15%? I can't even believe it. And get your radiation kit now. Oh, man, that felt good. Oh, yeah, that was sweet. That felt good. That was a good one. I put my heart into that one, and I think it worked. Let's see. Nevada says, effing commies. I know. Those commies. Nevada says, stinking commies. They ruined it. Yep. They ruin everything. And they make it so there's no food to eat. Let's see. Drama says, ask Grok how to enable the chat on X. That's a great suggestion. I will do that. Let's see. Rosie says, growls, commie, hate, smiles, enthusiasm, excellent ad read. A 10 out of 10. You can't do any better than 10 out of 10, except 11 out of 10. But 10 out of 10, hey, it's pretty good. Let's see. Rosie says, yes, the hair has failed. Trugina needs to go. Candle Monkey says, ad reader extraordinaire. I should be paid like $1 million per ad rate, in my opinion. Let's see. Nevada says 9.8 out of 10. A little more commie hate, please. There was plenty in that one, Nevada. Don't get greedy. Let's see. Drama says, careful, you're still live on YouTube. Oh, I am, aren't I? Oh, geez. All right. Well, maybe we'll cut the YouTube short now, although we're not going to be going that much longer. But all right. Anybody watching on YouTube right now, please join us over on Rumble. The water's great. This is where all of the awesome chat happens. We don't actually get a ton of chat on YouTube. We've had some good, decent chat in YouTube tonight, but really it's like 98% of it, 99% of it's happening on Rumble. So come on, join us over here. The water's great. Subscribe and everything, and that'll be super, and everybody be happy. Anyway, if we don't see you over there, we'll see you on, what is it tonight? Sunday. We'll see you on Tuesday. Ah.